Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we are taking a look at the Amazon Kindle Colorsoft Signature Edition, available at Best Buy now. This is Amazon's first Kindle that has color. I think it's fair to say it's about time that Amazon, with all the Kindles that it's released over the years, finally added some color to the device. And so the Colorsoft is in a lot of ways a derivative of other devices. So for the most part, the body, the chassis, just the sheer design, the dimensions even, are pretty much the exact same as the 12th generation Paperwhite, the black and white model that has been popular in the Kindle line for a long time. So it's kind of interesting that Amazon used an existing body. They put on a different screen. So this is an e-ink Kaleido display that adds 4,096 colors. 4,096 colors that may not sound like a lot, but it is at least enough to change some of how you read on this device. I should note that this is the same display that has been used in Kobo's Color e-readers as well. So it's an e-ink display, and it's pretty much the exact same. So there's no real difference as far as the colors. I will say though that in this case, the Colorsoft offers two different options. So there's standard, which is the default, and then there's vivid. Vivid just adds a bit of more saturation to the color, but it's not what I would call a dramatic difference, because again, when you're not offering millions of colors like say a phone or tablet does, there's only so much you can do as far as shades, gradients, those sorts of things. But despite the muted hues, content that has color in it obviously is going to look very different because of it, right? So if you're thinking graphic novels, comic books, magazines, children's books even, all those are going to just have a different feel to them simply because, well, there's color. So the content that's available doesn't change because of this. It's still the same content available in the Kindle store or whatever it is that you can also add on yourself with the supported formats that Amazon and Kindle do support. So there is a caveat to all this. So naturally, you can read in black and white. It's not a problem because it's just text, right? Text is not going to appear as color. Text will appear at 300 dpi. That's standard. That's always been the standard for the higher end Kindles, and that is the case here. But for anything that's in color though, that drops to 150 dpi, which is why you might notice that when you're looking at it, that it looks a little softer in comparison. This goes for any content that has color on it with text as well. So comic books, again, graphic novels, and children's books even, the text is going to appear a little bit softer, and that's in that case. For me, there wasn't a big adjustment here because having tested the Kobo models, I knew what the screen is capable of, and so there were no real surprises. Now, there are some advantages when it comes to reading books where you can apply colors. So for example, if you're highlighting passages and you want to highlight passages in a different way, so let's say you want to use one color, you have 4 color options here when it comes to highlighting passages. So if you want to highlight certain things in one color and then other things in a different color, you can do that. My one complaint though is that there's no way to organize those. So if, for example, I want to go into a book and I want to only look at stuff that I've highlighted in orange, I can't do that. I'd have to bookmark the page, or at least write a note based on that passage and maybe get to it that way, but I can't get to them in the aggregate. And that's one of the things that I wish Amazon would add, so that if you are trying to organize notes based on whatever it is you're reading or studying or researching, that you can get to them a little bit faster. Otherwise, the same things apply, right? So if you want to look something up in X-ray, you can do that. There's no real difference, functionally speaking, when it comes to how you interact with whatever it is you're reading. Comics are going to be a little different because just reading comics is different, but also Amazon's format for comics, especially the newer comics. So you won't necessarily see this with older comics, but with new ones, you'll see that Amazon's format applies here. So again, if you're used to seeing that, or if you have seen that before in the Kindle app on a phone or tablet, you'll see that it works a lot the same way here. And again, because there's color in there, it pops a little bit more. There is Bluetooth on this device, so you can listen to audiobooks on it. However, that all depends on what you've got going on with Audible. So if you have a subscription going, you should be able to access them on here. But if you don't, you're probably not going to be able to see anything. For battery life, there's no major difference. Amazon claims 8 weeks based on 30 minutes of reading at the default lighting. So the one thing that the Signature Edition has, actually there's a few things Signature Edition has compared to the other Colorsoft models. There's a regular and then there's a kids version. In this case, for one, there's wireless charging. So Amazon didn't send me the dock, so I can't show it to you and how it works, but there is a special dock that you can sort of set this down on and it'll charge in the back. In addition to that, it's 32 gigs of storage. So you have double the storage of the other Colorsoft models, which is great if you want to store a whole lot of content on this thing. And then lastly is an adaptive brightness feature. So this is kind of where the battery life part comes in. So with an ambient sensor on board, it can sort of measure the light around you and then adjust brightness. Now that's an elective feature. You can choose to have it on if you want, or you can do it manually. Of course, the warmer amber tones that you can use at night, you can still set that just like you could with any other Kindle. So if you want sort of that orangey glow in darker settings, you can totally do that. You want dark mode, that's available too. So the other screen features that we all know or are familiar with other Kindles are available here, and you can use them at any time. I'm just going to summarize quickly. This felt like a paperweight with color to me. It really did. It felt like it, I mean, despite the fact this is marginally heavier than the paperweight, but it's not really all that noticeable, at least to me. It just felt like I was holding a paperweight that all of a sudden had a color screen. I think that's kind of by design. I think Amazon intended this because it just feels like a familiar form factor. I know those of you who like physical page turn buttons are probably not going to like that they're not here, and they're not. Amazon has not really done that since the Oasis lineup. And so what you got here is a standard Kindle, or a traditional feeling Kindle that now has a color display. And that's pretty much it. And that's my review of the Amazon Kindle Colorsoft Signature Edition. You can check it out by clicking that link below. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.